Let's begin. Welcome to another episode of In Those We Trust podcast, Sports Talk. I got my boy Liam back again, co-host.
Back again.
We back. Um, I don't even know where to begin, bro. I
Come
think
on.
I think you deserve the floor for the last 2.5 weeks, 3
Uh,
weeks. So I
uh,
think I think I'm okay with you taking it over. I would definitely want to begin. Let's just begin right off the bat with baseball.
let's do it. I mean, how can we
Yeah,
not?
yeah,
The
yeah.
Philadelphia Phillies did what they did. I tried telling you there's something special about this team. This weekend was definitely not a big, let me rephrase. I was going to say not a big party, but there was a lot of nerves this past weekend. A lot of these games going back and forth tested me to the fullest in what my heart can handle. But they took all three games at home. I think I told you last week it's going to be very, very tough for a team to come in and beat them in
Yeah.
Philly. Padres could not do it. They had many, many chances, but there's something. Listen, in sports, sometimes it just doesn't make sense, and maybe that's why we love it so much. I don't know if this run makes much sense. I mean, everybody top to bottom of the order is hitting and contributing. We have Wheeler and Nola, which is two of the best in the business right now, starting for us, and our bullpen, which has been a big Achilles heel. The big guys in the back of it are really doing their thing.
I
You
mean,
know,
when
I
you look at the series, like in totality, we'll talk about the Yankees later. But like when you look at the series, Phillies beat the Padres 4-1. It
Mhm.
didn't feel 4-1. Like
It
it,
didn't.
it
It
didn't
didn't.
at all.
It didn't. I mean, like I said, the Padres had their chances.
Yeah,
I was at the game Friday night. It was a big pitcher's duel, like we thought it would have been.
yeah.
And again, I think Phillies came out on top. They did enough on what they needed to do. Saturday, that was your Padres game to win. They got up 4-0 in the top of the first inning.
Hmm.
Malik, when you're going into a hostile environment as an away team,
Yeah.
try to get the crowd out of it, get off to a hot start. They did exactly that and still could not pull out a win.
Mm-mm.
And then the MVP, the best player in the world on Sunday, sent us to the World Series. 330 million, money well spent.
Money
I
well
think
spent.
our owner went up to him afterwards and said, "I might have underpaid you."
Oh, really?
He's been the hottest player on the planet right now. It's really fun to watch. The team as a whole is really fun to
Yeah.
watch. Padres are a damn good team, but I think the Phillies just they did what they needed to do each and every game.
I think when you look at the from the Padres perspective, at the end of the series, you see the players are still in the dugout, like in disbelief that like this is where the series has went. Because in all
Mhm.
under like we've talked about it, put the same team into last year's positions. You guys don't even make it to the playoffs without this wild card, right? And this is
Right.
where it's important that you see sports progressing, right?
Mhm.
Because you have stories like this. You have these underlying teams that would have never made it in, now making it in, and now playing the World Series and a chance to win the pennant. So I
Yeah.
think that it's if you would have caught me, and the reason I have this Houston hat on, they say if you can't beat them, join them, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but if you would have saw me if I didn't go to that Dallas game, I would have had my Phillies hat on right now. Uh,
Yep.
I just can't rock for Philly, and that's just right now as a hostile fan, I can't rock for Philly. But it still is. I would have loved to see a different matchup. I would have loved to see Yanks versus Phils. I mean that matchup in my eyes would have been one for the books, right? Like that, and I think this was the year that it's like, holy fuck, especially for us. We get through Houston. I don't see us having a chance with handling the Phillies. Besides that hostile environment, playing home, and you guys have it's the first game's in Houston, right?
Yeah, so the first two, Friday and Saturday, will be in Houston, and
And
then again
the
it'll be
three,
three in Philly, and then if needed, and I know we'll touch on this, if needed, we could potentially have Thursday night Eagles Texans in Houston, Friday night in Houston Game 6, and Saturday night in Houston. So it could be a Philly takeover of Houston. I know they're scared to death of
yeah.
that, but it could just be the Philly sports,
But even
dream.
better, what I see is two games in Houston. You go up one of those games. You
Hmm.
now have a chance to win the pennant home. This gives you in a hostile environment, like in your home field advantage. This is the best you can ask for, right? Going into this game. So I think that plays a huge role. I'm not gonna be mad. I'm not gonna be sad if the Phillies win it. I'm gonna be indifferent, I would say, but this I see this being like a chance. Now, what are your perspectives in going to Houston? You could talk from a biased fan or from an analyst perspective. I want to hear both takes.
So, you just touched on it. I know you're a Yankees fan, so you're going to try to disagree with me if you will. I was rooting for the Yankees as well. I wanted the redemption factor like the Eagles got
Got
with the
you.
Patriots a few years
Yeah.
ago. I don't think the Yankees are nearly as good of a team as the Astros are. Again, we saw that. They
Yeah.
couldn't even win one game. Well, listen, you just touched on what the Phillies formula has been in the postseason. And
Yeah.
it's going out there, games 1 and 2 on the road. Throw your two horses, your two starting pitchers that have been unbelievable. Try to steal one, and you have an ability to come home and finish it out. They did that against the Braves. They
Yeah.
did it against the Padres. Hopefully, they can do it again here. When we started the show, 2 3 weeks ago, when the
Hmm.
playoffs just begun,
Hmm.
I told you I think the Astros are winning it all.
Yeah.
I think they are the best team in the league. Now, from my biased perspective, from what I truly have seen, and
Yeah.
again, you know how this goes. I watched it with that Eagles team when Nick Foles led them. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, and
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't have to. This team's hot right now. It's not
Yeah.
just one, two, three players. It's literally everyone on this team is contributing, and they're going to need all hands on deck to beat the Astros. But I don't think it's as far fetched as some may think. I do think the Phillies are just that team of destiny right now.
I don't see a sweep. Is that what you're saying? You don't see it? People counting
Definitely
as a
don't
sweep.
see it
Okay.
sweep. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if you look around the national media right now, you're going to get a lot of Astros in five, Astros in six. I don't know how many Phillies winning the World Series you're going to get. I've been saying it every single week. There's something about this team.
Yeah.
I think they can do it.
I think this is the year too, and it's definitely gonna be all hands on deck. It can't just be is Bryce Harper holding it down and Jesus Christ, bro. You talk about worth his money. What a trade and all. Like it's just. And I just saw like an article on him and like at age 13 there was like an article on him in like the Washington Post of like our New York Times of like the troubles of having child destined stars to become
Yeah.
something bigger, right? And then now he just clinched a World Series run at the age of 30. So that just shows you how crazy sports can be. To show like at the age of 13 they had, doubting the talents of a 13-year-old and should we put this in the hands of him to leading his team into the World Series at the age of 30. So it's just like any given Sunday, anything could happen. That's like
Yeah.
my biggest thing. I mean, when we look at I believe the World Series and that scope of 7 games people that don't watch baseball don't really don't fathom. Like, yeah, we were talking about Kat and she was like, why is there so many games? I was like, it seems like a lot of baseball, but there's so much that happens that it's just historical. Like there's so much that can happen in those games. Like you get so many people's lives that are made in a World Series
Yep.
on both teams. It's just in my opinion, if I mean you can't do that with any other sport. So I just feel like that it's one of a kind.
Well, listen, I agree with you, and that's what one of the things I wanted to touch on too was this weekend's games, the back and forth, the dramatics of it, the high
Hmm.
scoring game on
Yeah.
Saturday in Philly. Like, I genuinely don't think you need to be any type of baseball fan. If
No.
you were to just turn that on, keep it
Yeah.
on, as a sports fan, you would just be like, this is fun to watch. Again, especially those atmospheres. So, listen, also another stat for you. I believe there have been 3 or 4 teams in Major League Baseball history that have swept their way through the playoffs en route to the World Series. None of them have won the World Series. The
Really?
Astros, the Astros have done that. I'm hoping that trend continues,
Yeah,
but just
you're
want to throw that out
prepared for that one.
there.
I hate those statistics so much because it gives you so much belief, or like it hurts
It
you,
makes
and you're
me
like, yeah, you just can't pay attention to that shit.
feel
Um, so, what are your truly as of course you got the Phillies winning it, but what game? What are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
So I would love to see what they did again and clinch at home. I think the Astros are a good enough team to not lose 3 straight. I do think
Yeah,
the Phillies steal one in Houston. I
I
think
think
they
so too.
win 2 of the 3 in Philly, and I really think that they can close it down in 6 in Houston.
I
Again, I think
yeah.
they're rolling right now. This lineup, like these guys, they're having fun. They're getting along. They're just playing good baseball. I'll take Phillies in 6.
I think you have to win one of those 2 games at Houston. You have to.
Absolutely.
You have to come home with a win. Now, where I see it going to Game 7. You lose 2 and then you come home. That's where I see it. Like it can be a prolonging thing. If you go in 3 down and you're still home, that's where I see trouble lying. But hey, I'm excited to see that. I feel like it's so far away. Like even though Friday is right around the corner, I'm like anticipating. Like let's get this start to
Tell
this.
me about it.
This is a rough week to get through, and I can't imagine if that was my team.
Tell me about it. I mean, and listen, another fun thing to watch is going to be these Philly fans and what they do. How many trash cans you're going to see in the crowd this week? How many trash can signs you're going to see? They're going to be getting lit up. Now, again, they're professionals at the end of the day. How much will affect them, I don't know. But I think they're going to get a taste of an environment, no disrespect to New York, that they just haven't gotten just yet.
Oh, no. They think New York's bad. What you get from Philly, especially Houston, no one in the league likes Houston right now. No one likes Houston.
No.
I feel like even if you don't like the Yankees, you wanted to see the Yankees get payback. And every Yankees fan, we don't get. I felt like I don't give a fuck when the chip. It's about getting payback, bro. And the fact that they just legit spit in our face, sweep us off the rug. It's just like, all right, as a Yankees fan, I can't take this any longer. I can't take. We win how many games going into the playoffs, and then it's just like doomed from the beginning. Like it's just a letdown every year. So something's got to change. I don't even want to talk Yanks. Do you want to any last words to your Phillies?
Again, I'm just going to keep the momentum going. I've told you every week there's something about this team, so I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, you got to get to a game somehow, bro. You got to get to a game.
I know. I think we were already talking about it. These ticket prices are $1,000 just to get in. So
yeah, my boy at work, he's bought so many tickets throughout the year that he got an email that you could sign up for like a raffle to see if you get picked, and that's how he got into the Sunday's game. He was at Sunday's game. He got like a raffle. He like to purchase tickets. You got like 24 hours to purchase the tickets. So he's hoping like the same things happen. And he said the Phillies are doing everything in their power to stop resellers from doing that. I didn't know about like that. Like they stop. Like if you don't have a home address within like the tri-state, like you can't purchase a ticket.
Yeah, I mean it's. I think I saw earlier within the past decade maybe the Phillies, these tickets are the second highest average ticket just to get into the ballpark.
Really?
Only trailing the Cubs team back in 2016. So it's, I mean, the average ticket to get in is like $3,000 or something crazy like that.
Oh my God.
So I know.
Hey man, I don't give a fuck. If I were you, set up shop down there and just tailgate down there for one of the games, right? I feel like even in the first 2, there might be some noise down there too.
Yeah,
they might
exactly.
be tailgating down there. All right, let's make a transition now. Let's transition into the NFL talk. Probably the most boring week of NFL. I barely watched any games besides my own, but I can give you guys some recaps. Week 7, Thursday, we had the Cardinals beat the Saints 42-34. Sunday, Ravens beat the Browns 23-20. Cowboys beat the Lions 24-6. Giants beat the Jaguars 23-17. Commanders beat the Packers 23-21. Now, I can lead off here. We'll start off with my bum-ass Cowboys. Tone was actually texting me during this time, and it did take some time for – I know you were texting me. You weren't watching the fucking game. You were just probably looking at the scores.
Oh, 100%.
Exactly. And so my perspective on Dak coming in. I knew it would be shaky. I did not expect him to come in and just rifle right off the way. But it did remind me a little bit of week 1 where it was like if you go down with the Elvers, in my opinion, I was fearful of going down for his sake. Having him come back and lose to Lions home, coming back from an injury, it's like, and you saw Rush was suited up the whole time. He was on the sideline. So I think there were some talks going on like, hey, we might switch in and out these quarterbacks. I don't know what's going on, but I've never seen a backup on the sideline like that. Just he's itching to go at any point in time. It did the first quarter was awful. Had an open pass, I think, to CD that he just completely whiffed on and missed. You could see that it took him some time, but he did get his feet under him. That defense did bounce back. Lawrence, the fucking man, I don't care what, he disappeared versus Eagles, so he definitely bounced back. We both had, if we fumbled, I don't know if you saw that hit, I'll insert that hit here. Fumbled on the 5. It was not a C. Oh my God, he looks just like CD. I'm forgetting his name.
Maybe Noah Brown.
Brown. There you go. There you go. Brown. But Brown gets flipped into the air and fumbles on the 5 yard line. I mean, that was I want to talk about the Lions as well. The Lions looked good. Their record does not show who they truly are. If you sit there and watch a Lions game, they were fucking us up on the defensive side. They were flying to the ball. They were hitting everyone. I was very impressed with the Lions and the way they played. I could definitely see that coach making some changes to that culture of that team. But we had a late stop as well, a turnover. Lawrence beating 5 guys to have a fumble on their 5 to score. So like that disparity really took over the game, and we were able to walk away with a win. It was nasty. Again, to be honest, the biggest takeaway from that game was the Lions are definitely a team that remind me of like the old Jaguars, the Rams. Like this, it only takes a couple of years for a team to make that transition from being a bust, a laughing stock for the league like the Jaguars were, to where we saw the Jaguars competing a little bit, even the Rams as well. So I'm interested to see the way they turn out.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think, the one thing you can't deny since Dan Campbell has become head coach there is that they play hard, right? I
Yeah,
mean, no matter what. Sometimes there is talent disparity out in the field, and,
yeah.
and sometimes that is noticed. Um, I don't know. I think maybe we'll see with the Lions and their future. I think going to the Cowboys. Um, I know I mess with you a good bit. Maybe it's Cooper Rush time. Dak's the starting quarterback, that we
Yeah.
know. I think the whole point that I want to make is just I don't know. Again, this has been my thing with Dak. If he's a guy that can lead you beyond just beating the Lions in a Week 7 game, beyond even making the playoffs,
Yeah.
as you guys have done with him a few years, I think the bigger
Yeah.
question mark is, can this team take the next step, win a few playoff games, make an NFC Championship game, make a Super Bowl? I don't think Dak is the guy.
Mhm.
Again, I think you're right. Anybody is going to be rusty coming off of that injury.
Mhm.
Who's to say that your tremendous owner, Jerry Jones, didn't rush him back because he's
Mhm.
his guy?
Yeah.
Um, I think just because the Lions' defense has been that bad, that's where a little bit of it came. But I don't know. I think we're going to see with them. I just don't.
Yeah.
Again, I don't believe in the Cowboys of anything more than maybe a wild card team with Dak this year.
I don't see us even winning the wild card game, even if we make it in. In my opinion, we don't have the talent around the in all aspects of our defense is strong, but I look at our offensive line, and that's a perspective. If you watch the game in the beginning, Dak probably was hit and on every series a good 4 to 5 times, was sacked as well. And was on the ground the whole time, and I was just like, "What is our offensive line doing?" So these are the things that I don't see us, having success down the road. I was impressed with Zeke. Zeke did look like his old self. Maybe that was with Dak coming back, put a little boost in him, but I was impressed. Speaking of impressed and questioning, are they for real? In my opinion, the Giants. I want to see your takeaway. Are the Giants for real, or is this just they're winning games?
Listen, we brought this up last week too, right? Like as fans of opposing teams, of their rival teams in the NFC East, what are
Yeah,
the Giants?
yeah.
Oh man, they're a limited team,
Huh.
right? I mean, Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. There's no denying that. Saquon looks awesome. They're making the right plays. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just making the right plays. They're just playing good football. They're not bothered by the
Great
moment.
culture.
Exactly. I think their head coach has been coming in doing a great job. It was another game that they trailed in the fourth quarter, and teams like that are not supposed to win games when you're trailing in the fourth quarter like that. But they just outbested a Jaguars team, and
Yeah.
again, we talk about it all the time. I guess you are what your record says is to an extent.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're one of the better 6-1 teams that we've ever seen, right?
Mhm.
But damn, man, they're winning.
You
And
guys
they're
play them
fine.
next, right?
We play the Steelers this week. I don't
Okay.
think we see the Giants. I could be wrong.
Okay. I
For a
thought you
couple
guys
of
played them
weeks.
this week. Speaking on what the hell is going on, I want to is it done for Aaron Rodgers? What are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers? You had the Packers taking an L as well. What are your thoughts?
I know, man. Our division. Go figure. But
Year to year,
no,
bro. Year to year.
year to year. That's right. I I'm sure we're going to touch on Tom Brady getting embarrassed against one of the worst teams in the league.
For sure, yeah.
I think it's two different situations we're seeing right now. I think we have two of the all-time greats that are struggling heavily.
Hmm.
In the case of Tom Brady, again, we'll touch on that. I don't think it's anything maybe as physical, right? I don't necessarily think
Yeah,
his age is catching up to him that
no,
much yet.
yeah,
I heard this point that, you know, Rodgers is an interesting character mentally. I think Devontae
ayahuasca.
Adams. Yeah, I think Devontae Adams meant more to him, on and
Yeah,
off the field. Maybe versus just it being Devontae Adams. It was
yeah,
someone he can trust, and we've talked about this week after week. He doesn't have anybody he can trust on that offense,
yeah.
and it's a glaring issue right now. But another brutal, brutal loss that they need. If they want to compete, they're going to have to bring in a veteran wide receiver or somebody that he can fully trust going down the stretch.
Now, is Odell out for the year?
I don't believe so. He'll be out for most of the year, but I
Okay.
believe he should be good to come back, gearing for a playoff run,
Well,
right? So maybe playing the last few weeks
mhm.
and helping a team out.
Might be something there.
So there might be.
Yeah, then there might be something there. Since you touched on it, that is one of the points that I did want to bring up within the Brady conversation. With
Mhm.
everything going on off the field, it's kind of we've never seen Brady be shaky in a sense of we know his personal life, we know what's going on off the field, and we're seeing how it's how it's happening and playing out on the field. And
Mhm.
I did see a conversation happening with like, if this is the way Tom Brady goes out, is this a stint on his record? I don't believe so. It's just a blimp. It is what it is. He came back for a year. He tried to get a chip. I don't think anyone faults him. At the end of the day, his jersey will be hung in Tampa Bay and in New England as well. And
Yeah.
that's you never see that happen. So at the end of the day, you can't take nothing away from the guy. I think that it's bigger than football, in my opinion. I think he should step away and focus on what he needs to. Because I mean, chasing the chip has got you this far, but we're
I
seeing
know.
it play out.
You're right. I
Yeah,
think, yeah, I agree with you. I think this is just what we've seen many, many times in sports is these all-time talents don't want to give it up
don't want to
until
hang
the
it up.
game tells them, "Hey, you got
Yeah,
to give it up."
yeah,
I don't know, League. I think the Bucks right now, they're just a, I think they're just a bad team.
yeah,
I mean, it's Brady, but I mean all the way around. I don't think there's any world that you can make any excuse for them losing 21-3 against the Panthers team who going into this weekend I would have told you they're the worst in the league.
yeah.
I mean,
They also
but
had an old XFL or whatever quarterback. They're in their rebuilding year, and they
Temple
beat up
product.
on them. So that's a crazy sight to see. Speaking of
Mhm.
the Bucks as well, do you see the stuff with Mike Evans?
No.
So apparently there's some speculation going around of possible point shaving with Mike Evans, which is pretty
Ooh,
outlandish to say when it comes to football. But he did drop a touchdown pass, and that dude never really drops touchdowns
that,
passes like that. And
that's
we're
right.
regarding to, I'll clip it in here as well. Is at the end of the game there were two refs that went up to him and asked
Okay.
him
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
signature. And that's against the league rules. The league is
Mhm.
investigating that. It was hilarious to see because I'm just like, why risk your fucking job or careers on Mike Evans? Like, if it was the GOAT
Yeah.
Tom Brady coming out, like, that's one thing, but it's Mike Evans. So, I mean, people are throwing that around. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's
Stupid.
uh, it's weird. I do know what you're referring to now. I remember that
Yeah,
video, and I did see the drop touchdown pass. I don't think anybody was even in the same camera angle as Mike Evans, and the ball was dropped in the bucket. So
exactly.
I don't know, but listen, we saw Calvin Ridley, the Falcons wide
Yeah,
receiver, get suspended this year for betting.
yeah,
I guess nothing is totally out of the realm of possibility, but you're right. It's not a good look when you're one of the better players in the league, drop a wide open touchdown
wide
pass, and you're
open.
meeting with the refs after the game. Definitely not a great look.
Not at all. That's fucking hilarious. I was dying laughing when I saw that because you see him, he kind of like looks back and is like, "What's going on?" Like, and
Yeah,
he's just like, "All right," and he signs it. And they have that whoever that, I know whoever the fan, whoever posts that has no idea the ramification that come about that, but it
yeah.
is hilarious to for a referee to ask out in the open, like just so blatantly, and ask Mike Evans of all people, like it makes no sense. One thing as well that came up about was a discussion of player accountability was Kyle Murray. Did you see him cursing out his head coach, telling him to calm the fuck down? Now, I thought this was very interesting in the fact that I didn't like that the way people were perceiving this to be as like I feel like now there's been a hit piece on Kyle Murray. There's been a thing of like in his contract, we talked about it, that he has to watch a certain amount of hour of film. When you're watching him play, that he just is running around like he's a toddler on the field, just throwing things up and making plays, right? But I feel like there's a hit piece on him for some reason. Like they want him out of the league. They think that he is not. They right off the bat, they're saying he's not deserving of the money he's been paid, right? And that's where they're going. This has been an argument all year, and I counter that with in the heat of passion of playing the game. It's okay for a coach to curse out a player, right? Like a coach is that's okay, right? And a player is supposed to take it. And whereas I've seen in literally players cursing out the coaches, and by all means, I think what he said is fine. Calm the fuck down. Like I'm out here, let me rock. And, there's stories of Aaron Rodgers cursing his coach out of like, yo, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm a grown ass man. Don't fuck up the play. So. I hate that rhetoric that like the players can have emotions and how does this make him look as a leader of a team? No, I want to see my quarterback get in the coach's ass. I know as a left guard, I can't curse my coach out. You're the quarterback. Get your coach's ass. I've done that myself to a coach, to my own dad on a football field in high school. Like, yo, chill the fuck out. I know what I'm doing. Like, have trust in me as a player and as an athlete to do what I have to do.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think I agree with every single point. We talked about Kyler Murray, I think it was last week, and one of the things I brought up that I didn't like from him is he always seems to be on the sideline. He always seems to be disinterested. He always seems to be like somebody who is out to maybe collect a check, win or lose, and I'm going home and playing Call of Duty. This is the first real sign of passion I think we saw from Kyler Murray in a primetime game.
That's true.
In a game that your team needs, right? You're still alive in a pretty bad NFC West right now. You're right. I completely agree with you. I want to see this from my quarterback. 100%. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. We see it almost every week with Tom Brady. How many times was he cursing out Josh McDaniels in New England? And it's like, well, that's Brady. That's his passion. And it's true. I mean, it's not like Kyler's going to the podium and being like, yo, my coach is a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
He's saying in the heat of the battle, calm the fuck down. I got this. We're going to win this game. Trust in me, like you just said. And guess what? He went out and he won a football game.
He won the game, yeah.
So I completely agree. I within an extent, I want to see that passion from my quarterback, from my leader, is to go in and bite somebody's head off to go win a football game.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady will throw a pick and come off the field and curse out his own quarterback coach, Brian. I forget. Remember the old coach of the Texans? I forget his name, Brian something.
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien, yeah, they were getting fucking about to fight, and Brady fucked up. So it's like, you know what I mean?
And at the end of the day, it's all good, right? I mean, you go in, you shake hands, you're both competitors, you're both grown men, like figure it out. But in the heat of the battle, I mean, we both competed, and it's just that's what it is.
Yeah, I think I think people don't understand what goes on. Like, I think high school football is one of my favorite areas of football because of just how passionate the players are and so much bullshit that you see happen. And on the sidelines, you really don't get to experience how emotional and rigorous it is for players that are out there, especially when it comes to your senior year. I wanted to talk about last week of high school football as well. We didn't get the chance to touch on it. I went to the Palmyra High School Palmyra versus City game. And I was like, all right, like it was a Saturday, I'm gonna go out and go watch it, and it brought back all these old memories, right? I went in the coach's office, said what's up to the coaches, and watched on the sideline, and that's a big rivalry game, right? And there was just a post about, senior year, at some point the clock's gonna hit 0-0, and it's your last moment on that field, right? And like we all have that moment of like, damn, I wish I could play sports, I wish I could go back on that field. And watching Kyle Murray, it brought up the thinking of like getting into these fights on the field, right? Of like in practice and the emotion that these players go through. And quick example of like, as senior year, we lost second round of playoffs in football, and my dad, my dad was one of the assistant coaches, my brother was assistant coach as well. And I walked down to like my aunt's house. My dad's like, meet us at the aunt's house. We'll sit there and talk. And all my aunts are there. They're talking. They don't get it. And I'm crying. They're like, why are you upset? you play one more week. This is when we did play on Thanksgiving. He's like, you have one more game. Like, it is what it is. And I'm like, you don't understand how, like, not only did I practice since fucking May for this season, like all summer long, 2-a-days, but I've also been playing since I was like 7 years old. I've been playing football since. So there's so much that goes into for these athletes that are on the field, risking their lives and still out there playing and have this passion behind it, that I think we're losing the rhetoric of how soft fans can be at times to see these things. And especially when I saw Palmyra, we actually blew a lead versus City. And there was like, when my last year playing City, senior year, we got in a fight midfield with City. Like, senior year, it was a whole brawl in the middle of the field. I'm like, yo, this is City, bro. This is City week. Like, it's a rival. This is where we ball out. You talk the shit. I wish I could tell you how much shit we talked on the football field. Like, it was unimaginable. And then we all came to school the next day, and it's like, or that Monday, we're totally different guys. You can't even imagine the type of people we were. So, I mean, I can't imagine at that level as adults what they experience. So, ease off the players. Stop making it a soft-ass league as already what it's been. I'm tired of that shit. Moving on, the biggest trade, McCaffrey to the 49ers. That was a shock. Were you expecting that? Did you see that coming? I did not see that coming at all.
No, I mean, you heard rumors about McCaffrey being dealt. Again, it's a Panthers team that's completely rebuilding.
Yeah.
And he's the guy that, was going to bring in some good capital for them. The Niners, I mean, it makes complete sense. I think the offense that Shanahan runs out there is very heavily based on, his running backs. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. This week, you can almost throw it away. I think he got on a plane like Thursday night, got in a couple of plays and got on the field. They got crushed.
Yards.
Yeah, exactly. So, they got crushed against the Chiefs. It is what it is, but it's gonna be fun, man. He's one of the better running backs in the league. Definitely, I would say top 3, top 5 when he's fully healthy and doing his thing.
Yeah, it's just unfair to give him that now as he hasn't been healthy. It's unfair. Yeah, we'll see.
So, I mean, him on that offense, it should be pretty fun. They definitely have the weapons, but I don't know if they have the quarterback. It's been the question the whole time.
Hey, you guys wanted to give Jimmy G to fucking us. I was like, hell no, keep him over there. I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch what game was I looking at? The Bears-Patriots game. I was at the gym watching a little bit, and I am very impressed. Ohio State boy to death of Justin Fields, and I even said for the Cowboys, I'm like, yo, man, Dak, and imagine we picked up him right now. I even said he was sitting there for us. I was like, yo, I don't know. Let's pick him up. Like, Dak might not be the guy, you know what I mean? Even though I love Dak, he might not be there for us, right? He ends up getting hurt. He made some embarrassing plays against the Patriots, and his footwork, his arm, and the way he balls out, I'm highly impressed with what I've seen him do in the past to this year coming back. So I'm gonna make sure I pay attention to him a lot more. Did you get a chance to watch that game?
I did a little bit. And this is now back-to-back weeks. I think we've seen him on a national stage. Played last Thursday against Washington. And I think, is he there? No, I don't think he's close. But to be fair, I think he doesn't have any real help around him. No real weapons. The line looks like shit. But what I have seen from him is definitely growth. I mean, that's a Patriots defense that shut out the Lions, who were one of the most exciting offenses in the league going into it. And he went in there on the national stage and won a football game. So he's been cool. And also, Patriots note, Mac Jones, done. Yeah. If I'm a Patriots guy, I don't want to see him again. Yeah. I think that Bailey Zappi is a lot better. Get Mac Jones, the Bama boy, get him out.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, he still beat Belichick. So that's still winning his book to beat Belichick.
Belichick eats alive young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, he eats them alive. So he did his thing, man.
For sure. All right, you want to make a transition? You want to go into we can stick with football, or you want to move on to the NBA?
No. Let's finish out let's do our football.
All right. Next transition. Let's transition onto college football. We have it definitely wasn't something too imaginable, too crazy this week. We did have a couple of blowouts. I think it was a blowout week. We had Ohio State beats Iowa 54-10. Clemson beat Syracuse in a tough game, 27-21. LSU beat, and this is a surprising game that I was actually watching, beat Ole Miss 45-20, upset of the week, and Alabama beat Michigan State Mississippi State 30-6. I definitely was. Hey, Lane Kiffin, you got called out on that one. That one was surprising to see LSU beat Ole Miss in that fashion. I was highly impressed with LSU. I feel like anytime you're playing in that environment, at this point in time, it can go either way. But I was not expecting Ole Miss to look like that versus them.
No, I think LSU, man, they took it to them. I mean, like you said, I don't even really think it was that close. I caught the beginning of it, and it was a little back and forth, but I think, the Ole Miss thing has been their offense has been fun for the past couple of years, but their defense doesn't, match up.
Exactly.
And you're right, they went into Death Valley and they got handed to them.
Mm-hmm. I think we also had Penn State beat Minnesota 45-17. No crazy games going into it, but the big games of the week coming up. We got our boys, number 2, Ohio State versus Penn State. Georgia versus Florida. Even though Georgia's number 1 versus Florida, it's still a big game. And then we have a rival week as well versus Michigan State. Now, again, people may look at it, number 4 versus Michigan. Michigan State is unranked, but you can't forget, Michigan State beat Michigan last year as well. So this is a huge game for Michigan to bounce back. I do have a problem with the rankings, in my opinion. They have Georgia number 1, Ohio State number 2, Tennessee 3, Michigan 4, and Clemson 5. I have no issue where I feel Ohio State should be number 1. Ohio State has not been tested in the sense of we haven't come into a close quarters with anyone we've played. I mean, hey, we haven't played anyone crazy, but Georgia also did almost have an upset versus Missouri. And that, to me, should hold some weight into the rankings. I don't think Tennessee should be number 3 just as off of beating Bama. I think I would have rather, even though I hate Michigan, to flip and see Michigan at 3 and Tennessee at 4, and I keep Clemson where they're at, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, listen, your point for Ohio State being number 1 is definitely valid. I mean, they'll have a chance to show it this week, right?
Oh,
I mean, if they can handle Penn State and Georgia is in a relatively close game, you might see them take the leap against Georgia. Tennessee, I'll say give them their flowers, give them their credit. I think we came on
beating people,
They are, man. I think, I touch on this quarterback, Hendon Hooker, every week. I think he's a stud. That's one of my games to watch this week is how are they going to handle a good Kentucky team. Still think they're a little underrated. They've been battle-tested. Still going to be an SEC tough battle, I think, for them. My other game to watch, I'll say Syracuse at home against Notre Dame. I know we talked about them playing Clemson last week. They hung with them in Clemson. This is maybe a little bit of a letdown spot, coming back home. Maybe you exerted all your energy. Notre Dame, who's been, more than disappointing this season, but still got some good ball players on that team. I'm not going to say Syracuse is going to get upset, but I wouldn't be surprised if they fall to Notre Dame this week.
Hey, I would actually think different. I think this is the year that they can go in and beat Notre Dame with how shaky Notre Dame has been, and to come back with playing Clemson so close. I think that it does depend on how you come back. Of how's the team, how equipped are they? Are they going to be rested? Are any injuries playing a factor in this one as well? But I feel like I do see Syracuse coming out on top versus that one, because Michigan to me, not Michigan, Notre Dame to me, just I love the coach, but it's just a faulty team that's I think maybe young in many aspects. So we'll see. But I would take Syracuse on that one. I should have fucking put money on the Tennessee Alabama game. I had that one picked out. I should have had it. Maybe I'll put some money on this one. I put a little bit low ball on Michigan State upset in Michigan, but I do have Michigan. I think Michigan should beat them by 30 points in an easy fashion. One thing, the biggest news that kind of was trending for a little bit but went away was Nick Saban possibly leaving Alabama this year. I texted to you and you were saying maybe fake news, and I'm like, well, let's look into it. Let's see where it goes. Nick Saban isn't the type of guy to announce something like that during the year, so I knew that was pretty weird to come and see, especially with the looms of possibly going out with a national championship as well. It did make it seem like, fuck, did Tennessee? I don't want to give Tennessee that credit, because Tennessee fans could take that hey, we push Nick Saban out this motherfucker. He's done. He's over this shit. He can't take this NIL deal shit. He can't take it anymore. And above the perspective, if he steps away this year, now it's all speculation. We're just talking shit here. If he steps away this year, This, in my opinion, hinders his coaching ability, and for one reason only: NIL. That's all I have to say. Now that NIL is a factor, and you're seeing that players are now getting money to step into other opportunities, that he is not recruiting possibly the top of the tops or paying these top recruits off to come to Alabama, and we're seeing a downfall with Alabama and a lot of good football in other places. Now I'm just reaching here, but that's my opinion.
I don't think you're wrong, right? I think the NIL and why, I for many reasons am a fan of the NIL, right?
Yeah,
But for one of them is because it can maybe create now some parity. Obviously you're going to have the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Texas, right? The big time universities, just as it's always been, they're going to have more resources to bring in some of this top tier talent. I honestly think what another part of it is that they now have teams that are really rival
yeah,
them in the recruiting. I
yeah,
think Texas A&M has been disappointing this season, but their recruiting classes have been top five the past few years.
yeah.
Georgia every year better and better. So Saban has some real competition when it comes to recruiting these boys from that southern area.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just Alabama or bust anymore. And I think now when Texas makes a shift into the SEC, as we know is going to happen, in the upcoming years,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be even tougher because I think one of the main reasons why, Texas, which is a huge college football brand, I think a lot of these big guys, they want to play in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
So when Texas is there, who's to say that you're going to lose out on even more recruits?
Yeah,
So you're right. I don't know. Yeah, I guess looking at hindsight now, would he
yeah,
really say after a loss to Tennessee, I'm going to hang it up after this year?
yeah. Nah, yeah,
Probably not.
yeah.
But, who's to say that an announcement like that won't surprise us in February?
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if he's the type of coach that wants to go out on top. I feel like he is, but he may
Mhm.
just be. I think he's fed up with these players. The way he looks on the sideline. I mean, that's always Nick Saban fashion, but this
Yeah.
year is something different. The way he's just like, what the fuck, man.
hmm
All right. Anything left on college football?
No, no. Listen,
No.
I feel like every week we're kind of pointing out potential upsets.
Hmm.
You have Michigan on upset watch. I like that.
Hmm.
I've watched a couple Penn State games. I think your Ohio State boys are good this week, but again, I'll put a,
It's so
I'll
stupid
put.
that they don't make that the game of the week of like and put that on like
I
it's like
agree.
at like 3:30 or 4:30. I forget. It's like an afternoon game. That's a
12,
prime. It's at 12.
12.
Even worse, 12.
Yeah.
That's a prime time for whiteout at Penn State for a night game. Both
Yep.
ranked in the top 20. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, man? Like, going into the season. I don't know why we have that at 12. Stupid.
Well, again, going back to the SEC rules,
Georgia,
college
Florida.
football, Tennessee, Kentucky is a 7 o'clock game on ESPN.
What
So
time is Georgia, Florida? Do you see
I
that?
think that
Is that 4?
is 3:30.
3:30. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So it'll break it up. So I'll go straight from Ohio State, Georgia to Kentucky, whatever.
A much better slate of games this week
Yeah.
than last week.
Than last week. Yeah. All right. Let's make our transition to some basketball here.
Let's
Um,
do it.
Now you know your boy. I could care less about basketball, but in this
Yep.
sense, I've been watching basketball now more often, looking into the talk of the town. I feel like to the start of the season, we're seeing some good basketball. I'm
Mhm.
highly impressed with some basketball, but we're also seeing some shitty fucking teams that we knew going into it. And we'll start with, I mean, the Sixers are 1-3. Got the
Yep.
first W. What was it last night?
Yep.
Um, and then big news is the Lakers. Where do the Lakers end up? Again, it's only 3 to 4 games these teams have played, but I want to see your thoughts on what you think going into the next games.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say to be fair, when it comes to basketball, it's one of those seasons
Long
that
season,
drags
yeah,
forever.
yeah,
I don't really think it truly starts until like we hit December. I
yeah,
mean, this is another one of those, preseason, the regular season things, right?
yeah.
You talk about it with football now. Is week one and two, can we really gauge teams, or is it
Oh
more of
yeah.
just everybody trying to catch themselves? It is early. I will say the Lakers, I think, are in trouble. I think
Hmm.
how their roster is constructed, it's a lot of big names that are kind of on their last leg.
Hmm.
I think in today's NBA, they don't stack up well against some of the top tier teams.
No.
Um, the Sixers, I think, will find their footing. I think, if nothing else, Harden looks conditioned and looks, better than he has in the last few
100%. Yeah.
years. Fuck Ben Simmons for shout out Javon. Keep telling me about these Brooklyn Nets. Ben Simmons looks lost. I'm seeing
Yeah.
a lot of Nets Twitter now hating him.
Hmm.
Been there, done that. So just want to throw that in there. But I think it's early yet. But if I'm gonna look at one team that is in serious trouble, I think what you just said,
I love.
that Lakers team, man, is I don't know what they're gonna do.
I mean, it's a sad sight to see. I wonder what Westbrook is going through, how what his mentality has been these last
Mhm.
couple of years. Westbrook was always the player that I always, with a passion, said if I ever played basketball, that's what I want to play. If I had athletic ability, his tenacity is his hunger out there to play. I just feel like he's so timid now. He just takes and in the news recently was though that dumb shot that he took with like 30 seconds left. They were up and lost in the game. LeBron, of course, being who he is, holding down Westbrook. I know in the back of his mind, if that's in December, he's ripping his asshole open. Like he's
Oh
going
yeah,
off on him. Like he could take those shots now, and there's a lot of game to play. But I think that Westbrook just doesn't fit in to the Lakers
no,
team at all. If you watch videos of him, he's not even in the huddle. When they're when they're breaking it down, he's not around the team. I think um, he has to go find his place somewhere else, and I think that's where it would be best for him. I want to see Westbrook do well. I'm always going to be a Westbrook fan. It's kind of interesting when you look at that Oklahoma City Thunder team and all the players that have broken up and went to certain spots. I would have
yeah,
never in my dreams expected Westbrook to fall off. I would have out of him, KD, and Harden. I would have expected Harden to fall off, and it's disheartening to see where he's at. But I do want to see him pull up. Now, how has speaking of the Sixers, how has your
mhm.
boy Embiid looked so far?
Yeah. So
Does
I
he look
think that's
slow and out
been
of shape?
yeah, that's been another big story.
Okay.
The plantar fasciitis injury he dealt with in the offseason, so he really didn't get to, condition. Um, I think it's looked like he hasn't been able to condition, trying to find himself. Big men with these foot injuries definitely
Yeah.
scare me, especially with Joe. Again, though, it's, October, whatever it is, 25th now. I'm not going to get too worried about it.
Yeah.
I still think he can be one of the most dominant players in the league.
Hmm.
And, for now, just have him get back in game shape. So when we turn this thing up, after Thanksgiving and really get going, that's when they're going to need him. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he's definitely trying to catch themselves.
I mean, I feel like
I'll say this.
basketball is one of those things where you I mean, we always talk about you being in sports shape. There's a difference between being in practice shape and game shape,
Correct. Yeah.
and I think basketball is a big one. If you're not having runs all summer, if you're not
Hmm.
traveling, playing in teams, playing full court runs, it's hard. Just training is not keeping you in full court shape. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
that does play a factor. And I play fasciitis shit. That shit hurts, Brody. I definitely had that, so I can't imagine trying to play with that and train as well.
It's tough. I'll also say I don't think the Sixers are going to go anywhere with Doc Rivers. Been saying it for years
Really?
now. It's kind of, I think the next head coach of the Sixers, Sam Cassell, is just waiting on the bench. I've had enough of the Doc Rivers experiment. It's over. He runs a bland and boring offense.
Hmm.
He gets out coached against the better coaches in the league. And again, I think you're seeing. I mean, they lost to the San Antonio Spurs team that is literally in the boat of tanking this year
Yeah.
at home. And
Yeah.
I think again, I think you have a good replacement on the bench. So I'm hoping. I doubt it'll happen, but I'm hoping that Doc gets the boot. Again, we saw with the Phillies. You had a guy in Joe Girardi, had previous success, get fired, turn things around. Maybe the Sixers just look across the street and see what the Phillies are doing and say maybe let's get this going. But
Sure.
I don't think they can win anything with him as
Uh-huh.
a coach.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Anything else on basketball you want to talk about?
No, I think right now it's just enjoy John Morant playing because I think he's one of the most
Oh,
exciting
thank
players.
you for bringing that up. Now, he's to me the new Westbrook in my eyes, the old
Better,
Westbrook. Yeah, yeah, the
better.
old West how Westbrook was. I love his energy. I love the way he plays. This dude,
Oh
like, he looks like he's jumping. Like his house is just out of this world. Like, I don't
yeah.
think anyone can fuck with him. Like the way he plays, like he's just unfuckwittable. Like when he's on the
Yeah,
court, when he's in zone, it's I love to watch him play. Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up.
he's fun. He's fun to
Yeah.
watch.
New segment that I wanted to bring up, transitioning into the funny sports of the week. I
Hmm.
don't know. Have you taken a look at? Did you see the Make-A-Wish moment that happened at a high school football game?
I did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did.
So it's hilarious to me because they tweeted it finally happened. We've always wondered what would happen in these moments to where, think about it. You're getting between 15 to 17-year-old kids to all agree on one thing on a football field that's full force hitting contact at all times. It was bound to happen, and I'm going to include the clip here for you guys watching. But if you're not, if you're just listening. So a high school football player that everyone made the announcement. There was a kid with special needs, and he was on the football field as well, and they had him at running back. And everyone on the field, besides this one kid who was playing defensive lineman, knew, let the kid get the ball, and as you've seen in the past, have him score a touchdown for morale, for everyone to cheer him up, right, to get his moment to shine. And I guess the news wasn't spread to this one kid who was just so zoned in and locked in that he full blow through the line of scrimmage, sacked the kid. Kid falls down. And immediately, it's like, what the fuck? He puts his hands to his head and it's like, shit. I wasn't even thinking, right? It was hilarious to see. He took that shot. That kid took that hit. Like, it didn't look like he was like, oh, dead. Like, he was like, oh, all right, I wasn't ready for that one. And he popped up, bro. But it was funny. I would love to see the next play, what happened the next play.
Listen, all part of the experience, right? He wanted the experience. But, I mean, in all seriousness, listen, is that on the who's that on? Is that on the coach for not relaying the message? Is that on this kid being?
That's on the player for like. You would tell that's the kid that like, we always have this. And my little brother was this kid. You would be on the field and you're like, we're missing someone, and then he comes running on. He's never paying attention. It's always that one kid that's just never fucking paying attention to like the calls, what's going on, it's always one kid, and that's that kid. And it just so happened the one time he doesn't pay attention, it's this moment to make
worst possible time.
Worst possible time. The next one is the last one that I have is have you seen the University of Wisconsin women's volleyball team, the leak that has occurred?
Yes.
This is kind of crazy, especially I know that this is huge illegal thing that going on, especially with leaking nudes. But if you didn't know, I thought it was from this year, but I didn't even think like volleyball season hasn't started yet, or it may just have started. But so this occurred. Images were leaked recently of the women's volleyball team from last year, December of 2021, of the University of Wisconsin women's volleyball team. And these pictures have occurred as they won the D1 Women's Volleyball National Championship. There's a bunch of just leaked new photos of them wilding out in the locker room after the game. Completely, like, what are we doing? Like, if I was taking the funny perspective of it, in my eyes, as a coach, I would be pissed the fuck off. Like, these are just you're recording it. And they're recording each other. Like, I'm not gonna post this. You won't be able to see this. Go look on your own. And, they're recording them like ass naked, playing like fighting each other, celebrating, taking drinks. Like they're posing for pictures, all naked, and like they knew that they were taking these pictures. Whoever had the pictures were doing this to all the women as well on the team. So it was like, I don't know how they got leaked, who leaked them. But as a coach, I'm just like, and it sucks for the players this year because I don't know how many players are still there, but these players were the ones celebrated last year. So it's like it brings this stigma to the team of like, yo, what's going on behind the scenes now as a coach that this is going on. Like, it's just like the dumbest possible way to go about winning a championship and just celebrate like this. Like, exactly. Nothing good could come about that experience. Nothing good could come about you guys are all naked and someone's recording it. Nothing's good. No.
And listen, we talked about it earlier with just athletes and pure emotion, right? So when you win a championship, when all your hard work is finally paid off for, I get it. The celebration is going to be, you're probably going to celebrate a little more, but you have to have some awareness to realize cameras are going to be everywhere. And again, if this is happening with the cameras on, what's happening behind the scenes? So,
especially at Wisconsin, I know they don't play that. And this is D1. This is D1 volleyball. They don't play that shit. So I'm just like, where are the coaches at? Where are the ADs? Where are the coaches at? Where's anyone at? Like, they were probably partying, or they're probably doing press at the same token because of winning the national championship. So, I don't know. It's just like, how dumb can you guys be? Like, you can't be no stupider than this. And I'm glad it was a women's volleyball team. Not next thing you know, I promise you, this is going to probably be a cycle where you're seeing all these things start to happen. But lastly, looking forward to next week. In my eyes, all I have is I'm paying attention to the World Series and Ohio State versus Penn State. I know you're just focused in, zoned in. You guys play Friday, then when's the second game? Sunday?
Saturday's the second game, and
Okay.
then they're off Sunday.
They're off
So we'll
Sunday.
get our full slate of football. I will be at the Eagles Steelers game with Jack.
Oh yeah.
He's a Steelers guy, so that'll be fun.
He better not be
Actually,
pussy. He better not be pussy. Wear his fucking
oh,
jersey.
he was already debating on what jersey to buy to wear. So
Okay.
he'll be good. And then also wanted to point out real quick, your Cowboys will be playing your boy Justin Fields this weekend. So we'll see, I guess, how good he really is against that defense.
We'll take a W with that one. I have no concerns. Again, look, I didn't even have the Cowboys on my things of the week. I'm looking forward to them, but this is a big week for Ohio State. It's no matter what, it's a rivalry. So, and we're playing at Penn State.
Yeah.
But I don't expect us to have any troubles. I'm very just keened in, and I'm excited for this World Series to happen.
You and me both, Phillies and
Ready?
6.
Hey, man. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Please go subscribe to In Those We Trust podcast on Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, on YouTube as well. Please follow my boy Liam on the gram as well. I'll have his @ symbol down below. Do you want to give your @ symbol as well for those to follow you?
Yeah, easy enough. Liam Stokes, 11.
Awesome, bro. Thank you again, guys. And then we'll be talking next week to see where the Phillies sit in this World Series. All right. Have a good one, guys.
All right, peace.